This podcast, we're going to talk about groups, creating groups and changing users' group memberships. If we recall, we have already talked about groups some. Initially, we talked about the group permissions on a file or directory. The second group set of permissions controls the group permissions. So that is controlled by what groups you're associated with. And we also used the group to allow access to sudo by putting a user in the wheel group. So those are two different things we've used groups for so far. So by default, when you create a user ID, if you do not specify the group will be created to match the user ID. So in this case, I have my RBE0000 and RBE000 group. Just copied and pasted some stuff unnecessarily. If you run the ID command, that will show you your user ID and what groups it's associated with. And if you run it as root and specify a username, that will tell you about the groups that user ID is associated with. So let's say we want to create a new user. All right, so now if I look at that user ID's information, we see it's only in the RBE3333 group. So for this example, we're going to want to create a new group, and then we'll want to assign that group to be this user and maybe change some files to be associated with that new user. So we'll create a group. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like group add. Let's see if there's a man page. Group add. Not much you can really specify when you create a group other than the GID, but we're not really going to worry about that. So group add, test users. So now if I look in my Etsy group file, if we come down here, I have a group called test users, and there's nobody listed as a member of that group yet. So this, let me go take a step back. The Etsy group file keeps track of group membership, which users are in which groups, with one exception. It does not keep track of your primary group membership. If we remember, my RBE000 account was in the RBE0000 group, but why doesn't the RBE0000 user show up over here? Well, that's because that's the primary group, and that information is stored in Etsy password. So if we look back at Etsy password, right here is the primary group membership location. So that's not actually stored in an Etsy group. Etsy group just has a secondary group membership. So up here, I'm a secondary member of the wheel group, so it does show up there as me being a member of that group. So to change a user to put them in a group, we can use the Usermod command, right? So this says Usermod options login. So we want to append, we want to add the user to the supplemental groups, and it says use only with the -G option, capital G. So let's go see what that says. A list of supplemental groups which the member is also a member of. Each group is separated from the next by a comma with no intervening white space. The groups are subject to the same restrictions, blah, blah, blah. So, if the user is currently a member of a group which is not listed, the user will be removed from the group. So this can be changed via the -A option, which appends. Okay, so let's exercise that. We have a group called FTP, and I created a group called test users. So I want to add, for fun, let's just go ahead and add my user to test users. Test users, RBE3333. Oh, I don't want to user add, I want to user mod. Yeah, come on now. Get with it. User mod. So now if I look at my ID RBE3333, now you see that my group is test users, and if I look in my group file, then I should have down at test users, I have that user now associated with it. So all that append stuff meant was if I run this command again, and I say, oh, hey, I want RBE3333 to be in the wheel group, and run it with the G, then it will replace the group membership, and now it's just a member of this primary group and the wheel group. So the test users group went away. So what it is saying is if you want to add You do a -A, and now if I put test users, it should be in all three of all three of those groups. So so there we go. Groups, primary group is RBE3333, and I'm in the two supplemental groups that I added. So if you do a -G, then that will change the group without appending, so your old group memberships will be gone. So there's that. So what if we wanted to change the primary group on the user ID? Well, we can Usermod for that too. Let's go see what it says. Man, Usermod. -G, change the group of the initial login group. So we can do Usermod -G test users for RBE3333. So I'm not exactly sure what that's going to do to the old group, if that'll become supplemental. Yeah, so by doing that, we set the primary group membership to test users, and this group that we had before no longer existed. So is no longer associated with that user. So if we wanted to go put our user back in the RBE 333 group, -A-G RBE 3333, RBE 3333. So ID RBE. We can do that way. I'll go ahead and show you something else with groups. So we created the test users group. What does that do for us right now? Well, right now it didn't do anything for us. But if we had a directory called like test data, then so then we want to give permission to the test data directory. We can do that with by making the group on that directory the test user group, test users group. So by using the chgroup command, we have changed the group membership to test users. So and then say we don't want anybody else to have access. Chmod other minus read x. That's what I had for test data. So now we've created a directory that our test users have access to. They can get into a directory. They don't have write on the directory, so they can't delete or create files or directories, but they could get in there and view data. So that might be something we might want to do in a real world scenario using group memberships and permissions. So yeah, the other thing we might want to do, let's say we add a group, group add. Same thing, we could do -G to specify the GID, new group. So if we look at the Etsy group file, then we have a new group. We specified the GID to 99999. You may or may not want to do that. You could probably do like group mod to change stuff. Not much you want to change. Change the name. Yeah, that'd be fun stuff. Or you could do group delete to get rid of the group. So we'll get rid of our new group. Let's see. So that got rid of our new group. So that's how you can create groups, associate users with groups, and associate groups with files and change permissions so that only group members have particular access.